Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What if RG3 went to Arkansas and broke the SEC? You may think the SEC was inevitable, that Alabama was always going to take over college football in the 2010s. But there was a moment where that entire timeline is fragile, because what if the most electric quarterback in the country never became a Baylor legend, but instead showed up in Arkansas? What if RG3 became the face of Arkansas football, and what if that one decision broke the SEC 5 years early? Let's rewind to 2010. RG3 is talented, exciting, different, but the program around him? Still unstable, still building. And behind the scenes, there's doubt. Not about RG3, about whether Baylor can actually get him there. Now you may be thinking to yourself that RG3 staying at Baylor is what made him special. And you're not wrong. But in this alternate timeline, he's not waiting. Enter Arkansas. At the time, Arkansas has something most programs don't, an offensive identity that's already ahead of the curve. Vertical passing, aggressive tempo, no fear. And more importantly, a head coach who looks at RG3 and doesn't see a system quarterback. He sees a skill set that doesn't exist yet in the SEC. The proposal is simple. You don't just come here to win, you come here to change what this conference looks like. And RG3 says yes. And that sets the table for the experiment. Now, this is where everything starts to bend, because Arkansas doesn't just plug RG3 into their offense, they rebuild the offense around him. And that's the key difference. This isn't Baylor's system. This becomes deep vertical passes, designed QB runs, and tempo that stresses defenses horizontally and vertically. The SEC is not ready for this. Early 2011 season, teams are confused. Linebackers are too slow. Safeties are out of position. Pass rushers are chasing air. And Arkansas starts winning. Not just winning, but embarrassing teams. Now you may be thinking to yourself that the SEC would adjust quickly, but here's the problem. They've never had to defend this combination before. Not speed like this, not decision making like this, not at this tempo. And suddenly, Arkansas isn't just a good team, they're a problem. Mid-season, Arkansas is in the top 10. RG3 is putting up numbers the SEC hasn't seen. And now the conversation changes. It's no longer, is Arkansas good? It becomes, is Arkansas the future? And RG3, he's not just a breakout star, he's a Heisman frontrunner in the SEC. Let that sink in. A transfer quarterback comes into the most defensive conference in the country and flips the identity of what winning football looks like. But everything is building toward one game. And that sets the table for the game that breaks everything. Because eventually you have to play Alabama, led by Nick Saban, the standard, the wall, the system that never breaks. Now you may be thinking to yourself, this is where it ends, that Alabama shuts it down, that speed meets structure and loses. But in this alternate timeline, that's not what happens. Arkansas doesn't try to out-physical Alabama, they stretch them, horizontally, vertically, mentally. RG3 forces the decisions that defense wasn't designed to make. Container pressure, spy or coverage, commit or hesitate. And for the first time, Alabama hesitates. Big plays start happening. Chunk gains, broken contain, deep passes, and suddenly, this isn't an upset brewing. This is something else. Arkansas wins. It's not a fluke, it's not luck. They win because Alabama doesn't have the answer yet. And that sets the table for the ripple. And this is where the timeline truly breaks. Because it's not just a loss, it's a reveal. The SEC sees it, recruits see it, coaches see it. The blueprint is out in the open. In Alabama, they adapt. They end up recruiting faster defenders, come up with more versatile schemes, an adjustment towards stopping space, not just power. But here's the key. That evolution happens years earlier than it did in real life. Arkansas forces the SEC into the future. And Baylor, they don't disappear, but instead of becoming the symbol of offensive revolution, they become the what if, the program that had the future and lost it. So when you look back at the 2010s, you see Alabama, you see dominance, you see inevitability. But maybe it wasn't inevitable. Maybe all it took was one decision, one transfer, one quarterback choosing a different path. And suddenly, Arkansas isn't just relevant, they're the reason the SEC became what it is today. And if you want more alternate college football timelines where one move changes everything, hit subscribe because we're just getting started, and I'll see you in the next timeline.